Bitcoiners are very optimistic and hopeful for the future. And Bitcoiners understand what's broken, and they understand that they have the solution. And and we understand that we're kind of on the cutting edge. I mean, it's like it was fun back investing in the internet in 1994 and going, this is going to be big. And that's the same feeling I'm getting with Bitcoin and Bitcoiners.
Are you a Bitcoiner? Have you FOMO'd in? Have you orange pilled? If you have, you understand, you get it. You know what's broken, why the system is broken, and you know the answer. The answer is Bitcoin. So it really makes sense to save in dollars anymore. And there you have it from Lawrence Leopard. If you fix the money, you fix the world. And what he's saying is that investing in Bitcoin right now is like investing into the internet back in 1994, and he sees a huge upside in the years to come. And right here, the banks are under a lot of stress. Deposits continue to flee at an unprecedented rate. So where all these deposits are going? Are they going into the crypto market? Are they getting out the dollar and going into the crypto space? Bitcoin specifically? You be the judge. And with that, what's happening, Crypto Crew? Sean's coming back at you, another cryptocurrency video. Getting straight into it and continuing. We're taking a look at the Bitcoin price here at the current time it's recording, coming in at 28.2K, and taking a look at the charts. What do we see? What do we anticipate? Right now, Bitcoin's being squeezed. And why do we say this? We're looking at Bitcoin versus the US dollar on the 3-day. And you see, since 2019, we've had this macro trend line that Bitcoin has respected. And then once we fell through it, what happens? We capitulate. But this has acted as support and resistance. And right now, if we zoom into the price action, what do we see? We see that this trend line is acting as resistance, and Bitcoin just can't get back above it. But it's being squeezed right here by this yellow line here and this support. And the EMAs have just called long. As you see, the EMA ribbon on the 3-day has called long. So Bitcoin's getting ready to make a very volatile move to the upside. So right now is the time that you want to be packing your bags, or you have your bags already packed, because as you see, once Bitcoin breaks through this resistance level, there's not much more resistance looking back into the charts until Bitcoin gets at least up to the $32,000 range. And then there's a lot more confluence and resistance up to $37,000 to $40,000. So as you see, Bitcoin, it could be getting ready to spring through this downwards resistance. An update from Trend Rider: show this chart to your bearish friends. Bitcoin's bull run is on the way. This is not just speculation. This is a fact. Just look at the patterns here. Looking back into 2011, 2012, you see Bitcoin peaked out and then had this sort of Nike sign here before it rips up to a new all-time high, and then rinse, repeat. Another Nike sign before we blast up to an all-time high, rinse, repeat. Another Nike sign, blast up to an all-time high. This right here, it paused because of the Black Swan event with the pandemic dump. But all in all, right here, if you see here, we're getting ready to rip up to that new all-time high. How high are we going to go? $100,000 plus Bitcoin could be a reality within the next year or two. Buckle up. Another update from El Crypto Prof. This is Bitcoin and the altcoins total market capitalization. The total market cap has successfully broken out of its descending broadening wedge. And this has happened 2 times before. As you see in 2019, we had this blow off top in 17, and we just stair-stepped our way down through the 18-19 bear market. Came up, blasted up past this downwards resistance from this broadening wedge, came back and retested as resistance once, and then twice with the pandemic crash before the blast up to the upside. Same thing back in 2015. The bear market, we came down, blasted up, retested it, then it was off to the races to make that 2017 high. Well, zooming in where we are in 2023, we currently have blasted through this downwards resistance, and we could come back down and actually retest this. This is going to get a lot of people spooked if this happens, if we come back and retest this. But Bitcoin is going to have this bump and run pattern going into the 2024 halving, and it's going to be ready for liftoff. And then an update from the 2-year moving average multiplier. As you see, anytime we're down in this green area, anytime in history, this has been the best time to buy Bitcoin. And right now we're still below this area. It'll be below this area until the $34,000 to $35,000 range. So are you stacking stats at these levels, and are you buying just solely in these green areas? Buying the green, sell near the red. That's the name of the game, and how you can stack more sets. People aren't saving in dollars no more. and de-dollarization has begun and it's becoming a reality. This is stuff a few years ago that people speculated on. Well, it looks like it's here. Last week, China and Brazil reached an agreement to settle trades in one another's currencies. Over the past 15 years, China has replaced the United States as the main trading partner of resource-rich Brazil, and as such, that shift may have been inevitable. But within the context of recent circumstances, this appears to be another in a series of recent blows to the central role of the dollar in global trade. There's a lot of talks about de-dollarization, hyperinflation, things you didn't hear years ago. And what's that hedge? Did you invest in stocks? Did you invest in real estate? Should you invest in Bitcoin? Well, Bitcoin's been the best performing asset of 2023 year to date. But we also have a take from Chamath Palihapitiya, and the All In podcast is weighing in on what do they take from this de-dollarization talk. Let's hear from them.
This whole thing is a huge nothing burger. This is the third deal that China has done. The other two countries are Pakistan and Brazil. And the reason why is I see like people on Twitter now breathlessly rambling on about de-dollarization and all of this stuff. And if any of these people would think from first principles, the first thing that you would know is that the yuan is pegged to the US dollar. And so as long as it's pegged, whether you trade through the US dollar or you don't and you directly go to yuan, you're indexed to the US dollar. And then you use a dollar swap to convert it into the currency you need. So I don't know. I think this is kind of like a lot of folks who don't really know what's going on.
What do you think about the depth of China's trade relationship? So forget about the denomination of the currency, but the fact that the statistic now is that China is the top trading partner with 120 countries. You know, they surpassed the US with many of these countries over the last, decade or two in particular, and continue to increase the scale relative to the US, where we're kind of decreasing our dependence on nations and reducing our trading.
The reason why China has had so much dominance as a trading partner, and the reason why China's central bank has the largest amount of foreign US dollar reserves, about $3.5 trillion, is exactly because of the thing that you want to ignore in order to have this highfalutin intellectual conversation. It is pegged to the US dollar. And until it is unpegged in a free-floating currency, we will never know what the real market clearing price is. China has been very effectively able to manipulate this currency since they were brought into the WTO in order to engender that trading partner status. They were able to artificially suppress the value of their currency so that exports from China could gain traction in countries all around the world. You have to take into account this currency peg, and you have to ask the question, where would the currency be if it wasn't free floating? And then what would the incentives be for folks to replace the dollar? And I think that there's a lot of interesting questions there that are worth asking, but I think you have to be a little bit more intellectually honest to have the discussion.
So you have it from Chamath Palihapitiya and the All In podcast. What's your take on this? Chamath is sort of downplaying it in this video. He's saying that this is a nothing burger and that people really don't fully understand the complexity of global currencies and global trade, and that regardless if all these currencies are still pegged to the dollar until they're not. So what's your take on this? Please leave your thoughts below. Is de-dollarization a fear? And should you be worried? And should you just get out the system, opt out into Bitcoin?